And now we're going to take a look at setting up departments. To navigate to departments, we will click on Point of Sale, Maintenance, and then Departments. Under the Departments module, we have two tabs, the Departments tab and the Department Groups tab. In order to create additional departments, we need to create a department group first. So we will start there. Under Department Groups, this is where we will see a list of all of our current department groups. Department groups are labels that we can put on all of our departments to make running reports a lot easier in the future. To create a new department group, we'll click Add New on the top right, and that will take us to the Create Department Group page. On this page, we only see one box, which is the name. For this example, we're just going to go with default. After you've typed in your department group name, you just click one of the three save options on the top right, and then you will see that department group in the list here. Now that we have a department group created, now we can create a department. On the Departments tab, this is where we will see a list of all of our active departments. Departments are used to organize your items and to make running reports easier for you in the future. To create a new department, you'll click Add New on the top right, and that will take you to the Create Department page. On this page, we have 4 additional tabs: the Details tab, the Options tab, the Accounts tab, and House Accounts tab. Starting off with the Details tab, it's asking for the name of the department. Beneath that, we have the Department Group dropdown. And if you recall, we have already made a department group. So I'm going to click on the dropdown and then select that group. Underneath that, we have a dropdown for disclaimer. We have another video on how to set up a disclaimer. However, if you have set one up already, this is how you assign it to the department. Beneath that, we have POS description. This allows us to create a different description for this department if it were to ever show up in a point of sale transaction. And then beneath that, we have department number. Now by default, this will be filled out by the system for the next number in sequence in relation to your existing departments. However, you can change it to whatever you would like it to be. So that finishes out the Details tab. Next up is the Options tab. So going into the Options tab, this actually contains several different settings for how we want the department to function on the point of sale. At the top, we have the POS flag, which actually controls taxation for the items within this department. There are overrides that you can set up for individual items. However, by default, the system will tax items based upon the department. We're going to set up the department with the standard tax flag. And then beneath that, we have Open Department Minimum Amount. Open Department Sale is a button that you set up on the register in order to sell items that do not have a scannable barcode. What you can do is tap the button, type in the amount that the item is going to be sold for, and then continue along with the transaction. The Open Department Minimum Amount is the minimum amount required in order to use the Open Department button. Beneath that, we have the Open Department Max Amount, which allows us to define the maximum amount that an open department sale can be. Beneath that, we have Max Discount Percentage. This allows us to define how much items from this department can be discounted. Beneath that, we have discount percent on damaged. If there are products that are marked as damaged within the system, this allows us to define how much those items can be discounted during a transaction. Next is target margin. This allows us to predefine a specific margin for our retail price in relation to the cost of the items whenever we receive them. Underneath that, quantity on hand reorder point. This allows us to define a quantity on hand number that this department will use whenever a reorder is being calculated. Next is override order days. When you are performing a reorder, this allows you to override the amount of days that the reorder is looking back on for this department. Next is override type. This dropdown actually utilizes the override order days right above and decides to either override the current reorder for this department that you are generating, either decrease the order days that you are looking at, or increase based upon the reorder that you are generating. Below that is include in transfers. This is a toggleable button that whenever you are generating a transfer from one store to another, do you want this department to be included in those transfer calculations? Beneath that, can evaluate. This is another toggleable setting that whenever you are generating a reorder, whether or not this department is allowed to be evaluated in that reorder or not. Add to sales. This one's very important. With this check to no, sales including items from this department will not be added to your total sales. Check to yes, they will add to your total sales. Allow returns. This is another toggleable setting that when you set it to no, items purchased from this department will not be allowed to be returned at the register. And when checked to yes, items purchased from this department will be allowed to be returned. Below that is non-tax. This is another toggleable setting that allows you to override the POS flag for whether or not this department is going to receive tax. Is lottery. This is another toggleable setting that dictates whether or not this department is going to be used for lottery purposes. This expands out into the reporting features that we will cover in later videos. And then lastly, allow sales for $0. This is a dropdown that you can customize yourself, or if you have already set this up in your overall account settings, you can use those settings instead. However, if you want to set it up individually for the department, you can select the dropdown of custom and then toggle this to yes or no. Next is the Accounts tab. This is actually where we put in our accounting numbers for any sort of accounting exports that we may need to perform. So if you have numbers already assigned to keep track of information for this department, this is where you will input those. Then lastly, we have the House Accounts tab. This actually allows you to define several different discount levels for your house accounts if you utilize that within your business. House accounts are accounts that you set up with customers who purchase items from your business in bulk. House accounts within departments allows you to set up specialized discounts and different discount levels for those house accounts. And that has been how to set up a department and department groups in FasTrax Control Center.